Well, let's say that I don't think there's any doubt that my many years of political activism has contributed to my own appreciation for the complexities of our country, for its political, social, and economic system. My work outside the country with international institutions in both the private and public sector obviously gave me a chance to interact with other world leaders on matters relating to development, thereby broadening my own perspective as to how one approach the responses to evolving circumstances in a country's development agenda, being able to appreciate the experiences of others, the best practices and the lessons that could be learned and that could be incorporated in our own development agenda. These have all helped me to be very clear in my focus as to what measures need to be taken to reconstruct our country, to revive the economy, and to set the nation on a course of national renewal. And I think, to a large measure, the success we've had comes from that. The major challenge we have faced and continue to face is the one that was the subject of this conference here in Oslo, and that has to do with youth unemployment. Because we have thousands and thousands of young people, many of whom were child soldiers, who've not had the opportunity of an education or skills training, find themselves today on the streets. You may say just one step above survival, just trying to make do. They're in the informal sector, they are peddlers. What do we do to absorb them? And even though we're opening the economy, we've got to make sure that they have the means to be able to be absorbed by the private sector. And that means giving them some skills. And there is a lag between the time that you get the economy going and you have them with the proper skills. So that remains our challenge, which we're trying to address. And we're glad that today the IMF and the ILO are now talking about job-creating growth, because those are the twin challenges: how do you promote growth but at the same time expand job opportunities. We need to stay on course for the development of our private sector. And we see diversity in our private sector activity as a key to all of this. Liberia is first and foremost an agrarian nation, and that means we must promote agriculture with food security through the production and productivity of small farmers at the core. But we're also a major agriculture export country, rubber being our main product, and we've been trying to reactivate other sectors in other activities in the agriculture sector, such as oil palm, coffee, cocoa. And so that we're doing. Now, we're also a great mining company. We have iron ore reserves, some gold reserves and diamond, and we're also reopening our mining sector. Forestry, Liberia represents today 43% of the biodiversity in the West Africa sub-region, perhaps to a certain extent because of the sanctions that were imposed on us during the many years of conflict that enable us to preserve our forests. Well, today we can now start forest operations with a certain amount of adherence to our policy of conservation to make sure that we contribute, to all of the carbon that's required by keeping the greenhouse gases intact and all of that. We also today begin to explore for oil, and that opens up another area for diversity. So we're confident that with this kind of diversity, and if we can use the benefit of growth in such a manner where it can begin to address some of the social needs and the infrastructure needs of the country, that we certainly can achieve our targets, and we're poised, we think, toward putting the country on a path of sustainable growth and development where peace and prosperity can go hand in hand. You know, we're very confident, and we're very optimistic that we can achieve the architect of that particular agenda is our Minister of Planning and Economic Affairs. We believe that with the vast natural resources that our country has and the relatively small population of 3.5 million, that if we use the natural resources properly and our allocation and use efficiency are what we are going to promote, that it's possible to achieve that. We will have to continue to monitor it. It is an ambitious target, but we think we can do it. We're going to be subjected to externalities, to regional dynamics and all of that, but again, we're confident that our whole West Africa region is moving in the same direction of the promotion of growth, of being able to have peace and stability. And so Liberia, we think, can do it, and we're going to do all that we can to make sure that that target is achieved. Let me first say that it took a lot of effort on the part of the team when we embarked upon the HIPIC program in 2007. We had tremendous support from the IMF and the World Bank, the African Development Bank, as well as our bilateral partners led by the United States. So we were able in 2 years to carry out a very rigorous program of reform, economic and fiscal reform, and to put in place the measures for sound financial management. As a result, I think we in record time, we were able to reach not only the decision point after a year, but to reach the completion point. And in just a few days, September 17 to be exact, we will be in Paris for the final stage of the debt relief. That relief also included the settlement of our commercial debt. There was 1.5 billion commercial debt, which with the support of the World Bank, we were able to buy back at 3 cents on a dollar. That in itself was a major achievement. We still have 1 or 2 hedge funds that are out there, but we're coming close to a resolution of that small segment of the debt that's remaining. What will this mean? It'll mean that we will open up the fiscal space. We'll have the possibility now to be able to access some of the concessionary lending that exists in many of the emerging markets, as well as in the development financial institutions such as the World Bank through either credits, through the African Development Bank soft window. And with that, then we can put much more resources into our development effort, and it's up to us to make sure that we put it in productive endeavor so that we do not get back into a debt situation. And in fact, we have some very, very stringent rules that we have to apply in managing our resources under the situation of transformation, where we will only take on new debt that is highly concessionary or that represents, at least initially, not more than 3% of our GDP. So with that, we think we can move ahead, but still we'll have that little bit fiscal space whereby we can do a bit more in trying to particularly channel resources into infrastructure, because that has been one of the missing pieces to attract private capital and private investment. So if we can get that infrastructure, our roads and our water and our power, if we can get those at a higher level, then it broadens the ability to be able to attract more investment. Our relationship is at an all-time high, excellent relationship at all levels in the U.S. We're very proud that the administration, we continue to get support from President Obama, as we did from President Bush before him. The level of support for us has been tremendous. They have been the leader in our debt program, our debt relief program, and so we're pleased. But beyond the administration, we have excellent relationship with the Congress, with Speaker Pelosi and all of her colleagues, And we have also with the institutions that support us. And so there is almost a cultural affinity between Liberians and Americans because of our long-standing relationship. Most Liberians go to training in the U.S. Most of them, several of them work in the U.S. We have more than 200, 300,000 of our people today working, living in the U.S. We represent a pool of our national talent that needs to be repatriated, which we are working on. So, I mean, we're just today very pleased with that relationship, and we're very confident that as long as we stay on course, that relationship will continue to be very strong. Foreign direct investment is the key as far as we're concerned, because we feel that the major propeller for our growth will be the private sector, that government intervention should be limited to those things which cannot be done by the private sector. But we also realize that we must also have regulation of the private sector to ensure that the benefits of their activities also fall back on the people, and that the people can also enjoy these benefits. Adding value to our natural resources is really the next key. And we would like to attract U.S. investment in our manufacturing sector. We don't want Liberia to continue to be an exporter of primary commodities.
Definitely.
And so what are we dealing with the service sector, where we'd like to attract U.S. investment in housing development, also in entertainment. And in this respect, we're glad that Mr. Robert Johnson has started. He's already built a hotel there. He's looking at other means of being, and we hope that he will provide the lead that will attract other African American investors or Americans generally in the manufacturing sector. We see the potential for value added in the forestry sector, where instead of exporting logs, we can produce veneer, we can produce furniture, and those are being explored. Rubber, which is our traditional sector. Today we're exporting rubber in just a semi-processed form. We'd like to see that in a final product, such as condoms and gloves, and if you may, even tires and all of that, although we know tire has a large synthetic proportion. But those are the things that we want to see, and we'll be promoting that very aggressively now that we have resolved our debt problem. Now that we're addressing our infrastructure, we can now go on a very high-level promotional thing to try to attract investment in the next stage, in the secondary stage of our development effort. No doubt. And I think we serve as a model for them, a role model, as an inspiration for them today. Many young women around the continent, I even hope the world now, see that they can reach that potential. They can aspire to high political office, and as long as they're prepared to work for it and to be competitive and to have the qualification and the commitment to do it, that they in fact can do it. So if you look around Africa today, the women that are aspiring for leadership role throughout the society, including high political office, have increased so much, and we believe we've made a contribution to that. And I say that I continue to represent the aspirations and the expectations of women in Africa and beyond. And so in that respect, I must succeed on their behalf.